Hi guys, my name is Holly, and today's video has been highly requested for the past month, which is going to be how to make the watch clock that's on my wall. So I saw this watch from Urban Outfitters. It was made of plastic, and it was really cool, but it was really expensive. So I thought I would just make it myself, and I actually freehanded the one that's on my wall, but because I got so many requests, I'm gonna film this video and write a pattern for you guys. So let's get started. So you're gonna need 3 colors of acrylic yarn. So I am gonna be using the Bernat Super Value in light purple, yellow, and light pink. And you're also gonna need a 4.5mm crochet hook. You're gonna need a darning needle to weave in your ends. And you can use embroidery floss for the edges. That's what I did, just to add a little bit of detail. You don't need to, it's like an extra step. Oh, and you also need a clock. That is a pretty important part of it. I got mine at Dollarama. I think you can get them anywhere. If you're in the US, I would check Target. If you're in Canada, I would check Dollarama. And mine is 10 inches across, so that's what this pattern is based off of. Alrighty, so to start this pattern, I'm going to be taking my purple yarn. I'm going to chain 30. Okay, so I've chained 30 stitches. Now we're going to go in and do a half double crochet in each stitch. Once we've reached the last stitch, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, do the same thing, just 1 half double crochet in each stitch. You're always going to be chaining 1 at the end of the row, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to continue just doing rows of half double crochets until this part of your watch is your desired length. My estimate is that this will be about 50 rows, but I will put right here on the screen how many rows I ended up doing. Feel free to pause the video right now and finish up your rows. This part of the watch is a little bit time consuming, but it will be worth it, I promise. And in the next clip, I'm going to meet you once I've finished my rows. Okay, so I have finished my 50 rows. This is what we were looking at. So now we're going to go on to row 51. And in this row, we are going to be increasing in the first and last stitch. So I'm going to do my chain 1. And now we're going to do 2 half double crochets in the first stitch. 1, 2. Now I'm going to go all the way to the end. And in the very last stitch, I'm also going to put 2. Okay, so we're coming up on our last stitch. That's the second to last one. And now we're going to put 2 half double crochets into this last stitch. So there's 1, and there's 2. We're going to chain 1, turn our work. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to put 2 half double crochets into this first stitch here. So 1, 2, and then half double crochet all the way along until you reach the last stitch, where we're going to do another 2 half double crochets. Alrighty, coming up on that last stitch again, and we're going to do 2 half double crochets in that stitch. So we're going to repeat these increases on either end for 2 more rows. Feel free to pause the video while you complete that. I'm going to meet you guys after those 2 rows. Okay, so we've made it to our last increase. So I'm going to do the first half double crochet and finish it through, the second one, and I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to cut a long tail on my purple yarn, and we're going to switch to the color that you want in the middle of the clock. So I'm going to be using the pink for this. So we have the 3 loops up on the hook. We're gonna put our yarn over the hook like this and pull it through. So now we've switched to the pink. So for the pink, we're gonna chain 1, turn our work, and we're gonna continue the same pattern. So we're going to do an increase in the beginning of the row, still half double crochets. So 2 half double crochets, 1, 2, and 1 half double crochet in each stitch until the very last one. And in the last stitch, we're gonna do an increase. So 2 half double crochets in the last stitch. Okay, so we've made it to the last stitch and we're gonna do our increase again. So 1 half double crochet, 2 half double crochets. We're gonna chain 1, turn our work. We're gonna do this for 3 more rows. So I'll meet you guys when we're at the end of 3 more rows. So I've just finished my last row of increases. So I have 4 rows of the pink where I increased. So now we are going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're just gonna do 1 half double crochet in each stitch. I'm not sure how many rows this section is gonna be yet, so future me is gonna put it on the screen right here. So repeat just 1 half double crochet in each stitch for this many rows. Feel free to pause the video here. I'm gonna meet you guys once I have finished this many rows of the pink. Okay, so I've just finished my 22 rows. So now we are gonna start decreasing again. Since we did 4 rows of increases, we're gonna do 4 rows of decreases on this side. So I'll show you guys how to do that. I'm gonna chain 1, turn our work, and we're gonna start a half double crochet as usual. And we're gonna pull up the 3 loops. Now instead of yarning over and pulling through the 3 loops, we're going to just insert right into the next stitch and pull up, and then we're gonna yarn over and pull through all of these loops. So that's just made these 2 into 1, so that is a decrease. Now we're gonna go and just do half double crochets all the way along until we get to the last 2 stitches. Okay, so now that we've made it to the last 2 stitches, we're gonna do a decrease again. So yarn over, do your half double crochet just like normal. Don't yarn over and pull through the 3 loops yet. Yarn over insert into the last stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all the loops. We're gonna chain 1, turn our work, and we're gonna do another decrease. So this is our second row of decreases. So we're gonna insert like normal, then we're not gonna yarn over and pull through yet, we're gonna insert into the next stitch, and then we're gonna pull through all 4. And then we're gonna do half double crochets all the way until the last 2 stitches, and we're gonna repeat. Do another decrease. Okay, we've made it to our last 2 stitches. And we're gonna do our decrease. Whoops. Okay, and pull through all 4 loops. So that's 2 rows of the decreases that we have right now. We're gonna do 2 more rows exactly like that. So I will meet you at the end of those 2 rows. We've made it to our last decrease, so I'm on row 4 of the decreases. So for this one, we're gonna decrease and change color, so we need to change to our yellow yarn. That's what I'm gonna be using. So we're gonna start the decrease. I'm gonna pull up. So I've got 3 loops on my hook. I'm gonna insert into the last stitch. I'm gonna yarn over and pull up. I've got 4 loops on my hook. Now I'm gonna grab my yellow yarn and I'm gonna put a loop over like this. So this is the equivalent of my last yarn over. We're gonna pull that through all the loops. And then we're gonna chain 1. And you can cut your pink yarn. So now that we're on to our yellow section, we're gonna chain 1. We are going to turn our work. And now we're gonna do 4 more rows of decreases. So just a little reminder, you're gonna yarn over, do a half double crochet like normal, and stop when you have 3 loops on your hook. Insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull a loop up, yarn over, and pull through all 4. So we're gonna do that for 4 rows. So I will meet you guys at the end of the 4 rows of decreases. All right, so here we are at the end of the 4 rows of the yellow decreases. For the next this many rows, we're gonna do 1 half double crochet in each stitch. So this is gonna be the straight part. This strap is a little bit more complicated because it's gonna have the holes in it and it's also gonna be round, but we're not gonna do that part until after we've done the straight. So I will meet you guys at the end of this many rows of half double crochets. So this is what 30 rows of just half double crochets looks like. So now we're gonna start adding our holes, and also we're gonna start decreasing so that we can get kind of that round end. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're gonna do a decrease. So we do our regular half double crochet, we have our 3 loops, insert into the next one, pull up, yarn over, and pull through all of them. And then on this row, we're also gonna add a hole. So you're just gonna kind of look, you can count, I don't like counting, I'm just gonna eyeball it, but I'm gonna look at where I think the middle is. So I think the middle is around here. So I'm gonna pick these 3 stitches and I'm gonna skip these 3 stitches. So when I get to this stitch, let's do half double crochets until that stitch. This is what I like about this pattern, is that like if you drop stitches or if you add stitches somewhere and you don't have the exact amount, a lot of it is just following a pattern and not having to like count stitches or eyeball or like actually do it very precisely. So I said I'm gonna do it there. So I'll do 2 more. Okay, so since I'm skipping these 3 stitches, I'm gonna chain 3. 1, 2, 3, pretty loosely. I'm gonna skip 1, 2, 3, go into the next one with just a half double crochet. And then we've created a hole. So then we're gonna do half double crochets until the end. And then at the end, we're gonna do another decrease. So that's what it should look like after that row. You can kind of see it starting to curve in. The next row, we're just gonna do a row of half double crochets. No decreases, no skipping anything. So we're gonna chain 1, turn our work, and start a row of half double crochets. And when we get to that section in the middle with the hole, we're just gonna do 3 half double crochets right into that chain or into the hole, whichever you prefer. So we've made it to this part, and we're gonna do 1, 2, 3. So that is what that looks like. Now we're gonna keep going, and make sure you don't skip this stitch because this is your next stitch. So you see your stitch that's like actually in right there. There's your stitch. This is the next loop you're going into. So don't skip that one. And then just do half double crochets until the end. So that's what it should look like after that. So next row, we're also going to do another row of just straight half double crochets. So I've chained one, turned my work, and just one row of half double crochets. So by doing the decreases not like every third row, this way it's going to decrease slower than when we were doing them every row. So your curve isn't going to be as sharp, because that's what we want. And I also want the holes to be a little bit spaced out. On my original one that I made, the holes were a little too close together, and I much prefer them spaced out. I also use embroidery floss to define the holes a bit more, to make them more round, so I'll show you guys how to do that at the end. So we've made it to the end of that row. The next row is going to be a decrease and a hole row. So we're going to chain one. We're going to turn our work again. We're going to do our decrease. Oops. So pull 3 loops up, insert again, got 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all of them. And then we're just going to half double crochet until we reach that middle section again. So if I line it up, I can see that that is the first stitch. So I'm going to do one more and then skip 3. Yep, and then we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to skip 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go into the 4th. And then we're going to half double crochet until the end, and we're going to do our second decrease. Okay, second decrease. Pull up 3, insert into the next one, pull up 4, yarn over, and pull through all of them. So that is what that should look like. So you can see we're getting our holes now, and we're also slowly decreasing here. So we're going to repeat the same thing we did before. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a row of just half double crochets. Okay, now we're at the hole. We're going to do 3 half double crochets into the hole. Oops. 1, 2, 3. We're going to make sure we don't skip this last stitch. So right there, there's our extra stitch. And we're just going to continue our half double crochets all the way until the end. Okay, so we have 2 holes now. Next row, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to chain 1 and just do our half double crochets all the way across. Okay, so that's what it should be looking like right now. And now we are going to continue this pattern. Let's do 2 more times and check in there. So we're going to repeat the 1 row with the decrease, the hole in the middle, the decrease, 2 rows of half double crochets. So let's repeat that 2 more times. I'll meet you guys at the end of the 4th time of doing that. So we have 2 right now. I'm going to do 2 more. Okay, so we have our 4 holes. I've done my 2 rows of just half double crochets. So now we're going to try and end off this yellow bit. So we're going to be doing decreases on every row. So we're going to chain 1. We're going to do a decrease. We're going to half double crochet all the way across. And then on the last 2 stitches, we're going to do another decrease. We're going to chain 1, we're going to turn our work, and we're just going to repeat that again. So a decrease, half double crochet all the way across, and then another decrease in the last 2 stitches. So that's what it should look like after those 2 rows. And now we're going to do that again. I'm going to chain 1, turn our work. Oh, it's getting difficult because the watch is getting long. I'm going to do a decrease, half double crochet all the way across, then in the last 2 stitches we're going to do another decrease. So you can really choose to stop this whenever you like, once the watch is making the shape that you want. I think I'm gonna do 1 more row of this and then I'm gonna fasten off this end of the watch. So we're gonna chain 1, gonna turn our work, I'm gonna decrease, gonna half double crochet all the way across, and then in the last 2 stitches, I'm going to do 1 more decrease. So once we add the border too, it's going to round that out a little bit more. So once it is at the shape that you want it to be, you can just pull it long and then snip it. Okay, I thought it'd be easier to show you guys on my iPad what we're going to be doing next. So here's the strap on the watch. So on my original clock, it has 1 strap, like just going across right here. And then it has a rectangle at the end. It's thicker than this, but you get the general idea. Just trying to show quickly. So it's a rectangle like that, and then it has a piece that goes across, just like this. So we're gonna start by doing, let's see, we're gonna start by doing this piece, and this piece. So these 3 pieces are going to be the exact same. So we're going to start by chaining 8, and then we're just going to do rows of half double crochets until it's at the length that we want. So the length that we want is on the strap, we want it to go just a little bit past on either side. So that ends up being this number of rows, just for reference. So we're going to make chain 8, this number of rows, and we're going to make 3 of those. Alrighty, so we have our purple yarn. We're gonna do a slip stitch. So just like I said, we're gonna chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's how thick it's gonna be. And again, you can adjust this as much as you want. This clock is really customizable. Now we're just gonna do 1 half double crochet in every stitch. Now chain 1, turn our work, and just continue that same pattern of 1 half double crochet in every stitch. So keep doing this pattern until it is to your desired length. I ended up doing this many rows, and you're gonna make 3 of those. So I will meet you guys once we have finished 3. All right, so we finished our 3 of those. I'm just gonna snip this. Let's put these just off to the side for now. Next, we are gonna make 2 rectangles that are half the size of that. So we're still gonna do our chain 8, but then, so that was 23 rows. We're gonna do 11 rows for these next ones. So you're gonna make 2 rectangles that are chain 8, 11 rows of half double crochets. Okay, so we now have 5 rectangles in total. So just to show you, we've done, let's switch colors. We have done this one, we've done this one, we've done this one, we've done this one, and this one. So the last one we're gonna do is right here. So for this one, we want it to be a little bit bigger than this one, but also smaller than this one. So we're gonna do 15 rows. So do the same thing, chain 8, and then 1 half double crochet in each stitch, and we're gonna do that for 15 rows. So I will meet you once that is done. So now that we have all our purple pieces done, we can start to assemble. So we're gonna be sewing for this. So I'm gonna get my needle out. And then we can take one of the long pieces and just discard it for now. We'll work with that later. And then I would just kind of set them up how they're gonna look. So you're gonna have the 2 long pieces, the 2 short pieces, and then this piece will go sort of across the middle, just like that. Kind of stretch it out. So that's gonna be like the buckle. I'm gonna attach it like that, so it kind of overlaps here, but just is attached there. So I would just use any stitch that you like and just use the ends to kind of connect them together. So I'll show you. So like, let's start with this piece. I'm gonna sew this piece on. So all I'm gonna do, because I want it attached right to the end, so I'm just gonna go in and out. I don't know the different names of stitches, or like sewing stitches. I feel like I should learn them. So we're just going like around and around and around and around. On a big piece like this also, people are not going to pay attention to the details as much. So there are definitely ways to connect these that would make it look a little bit more seamless than this, but I think if this does the job, then it's totally fine. And then I'm just gonna go back again and do the same thing, just to make sure we are extra secure. This is also kind of like weaving in the ends a little bit. And then once you get to a place that you're happy with, I'm gonna poke it through one more time to the back. And since this is gonna be the back, I'm actually just gonna tie a little knot between these 2 ends. I'm gonna tie it 3 times for good luck. And then I'm just gonna chop this. So that keeps it nice and secure. So we have 1 attached. Now we're gonna go ahead and attach this one to here. And you can just keep attaching your pieces like that. So eventually it's gonna look like that when it's all together. So start sewing your pieces together. I will meet you once they're all sewn. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it is all sewn together. So the last step for this part is just to sew this part onto your actual purple strap. So I'm just going to line it up like that. And again, we're just going to go in and out, weaving it onto the strap just to make sure it's secure. And then once it is as secure as you'd like it to be, you can just weave in your ends and cut it. And the last part of the purple we have to attach is this extra strap. So you can put it anywhere along here, and you're going to just do the exact same thing where we weave in and out and we attach the strap. We are done with this part. Oh, just kidding, there's another end for me to weave in, but we'll just hide that for now. Once I've woven that in, the purple part is done. So now we're going to move on to the pink section again. So with the pink section, this is where you're going to need to get your clock. So I actually took down my watch clock that I have up to use like the clock for that as a demonstration. So let me go get that 1 second. Okay, here is the clock. This is what it's gonna look like right here. But in my original one, I had a little border around this section of the clock just to make it fit in a little bit more. So what we're gonna do for that is we are gonna chain 10 with our pink. So slip knot and chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to make sure that that covers more than the width of your clock. So mine is definitely good. And now you're going to do half double crochets until you get all the way around the clock. So this is going to be our border, and then we're going to slip stitch it together, and we're going to just kind of like slide it over the clock. So just a reminder, my clock is 10 inches in diameter, so the length of this is going to depend on the size of your clock. So I ended up doing this many rows, and I will meet you once we are done with a rectangle that fits all the way around your clock. Pretty snug. Okay, so I have now done 64 rows. So it fits pretty tightly around that. So I am gonna pull my yarn pretty long and snip it. And now we're gonna sew these two pieces together. Or sorry, this one piece together into a circle. Thread it. Make sure it's not twisted. Make sure you have it together like this so it makes a nice circle. And you're just gonna sew these two pieces together any way that you'd like. Once they're all nice and sewn together, all I'm gonna do is tie these two in a knot. Three for good luck, and then we're just gonna cut our ends just like that. And so this is the piece that's gonna go around our clock. So it might be a little tricky at first depending on the size that you made it, but you just have to slip it around just like this. Now we have a cute little frame for our clock. The next thing we're gonna do is sew in all of our ends. However you choose to do this, I will not judge if you just tie them and cut them like I do sometimes, but just make sure it's kind of hidden so you can't really see it. So I will meet you guys when we are done sewing in all of our ends. So I now have all my pieces sewn together and I have all my ends woven in. So the next step here, if you want to, is you can add a border in a different color with embroidery floss. So I just use like any color out of my big stash. And I would just do a single crochet or a slip stitch border all the way around. And you can do it on the edges if you want as well, like on the like little clasp thing. The person who I'm making this one for though has requested me not to do that. So we're gonna skip that step. But the last step that we're going to work on is defining the holes. So she said it's fine for me to define the holes with the embroidery floss. So I am going to use a yellow that doesn't quite match this, so it kind of stands out a little bit more. I'm going to be using this yellow. And we're going to cut a decent chunk. We're going to thread it through our needle. Put it through our needle. Okay. And we're gonna start with this one. We're gonna work from back to the front. So we're just gonna poke through. Pull almost all the way through, but not quite. Gonna poke in through the hole. So you kind of wrap it around like that. And just to secure it right here, I'm gonna tie a knot at the back so you can't see it. Now we're basically just going to keep going around and around this circle, just like this, just in and out of however many stitches you'd like. You can kind of see we are defining the circle a little bit more. So with the original watch clock, I did this in like a really different color. So like this part of my watch was light blue, and I did the embroidery part in like bright orange, just to make it stand out a bit more. So you can get creative with your colors, do whatever you want. So that's the difference. You can see this one has it done, this one doesn't. So it just makes it a little bit wider and more of a circle. So now you're gonna go on and do it to the other three. You can either like tie off and just move on to the next one, or if your stitches are pretty tight, you can just move straight on to the next one. I think I'm gonna tie it off in between each one. So I'll meet you guys once we have done all 4 of the holes. Okay, everything is done now, so I'm actually gonna take my other watch clock down, just put this one up and show you guys what this one looks like. If you've made it to the end of the video, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below any questions that you have. Alright, this is what it looks like. Thanks guys, bye-bye!